All right, folks, welcome back. We're back again with Josh Hickman. And this time we're going to talk a little bit about some of the cooking that he's done and just kind of back to cooking in general. So, Josh, you want to take a minute and show us your little setup here?
Yeah, let's do it. So right now I'm running that's the Traeger Ironwood 885. I've got the Mini Max, and then I have a Primo XL ceramic grill there. So those are my the three workhorses that I use pretty much daily. I do a ton of outdoor cooking, which down in Georgia in the summertime, you don't want to be cooking in your house because for one, the AC is already cranking, and you fire up that stove or that oven, and your kitchen's pretty toasty.
Mm-hmm. And before you all send us any hate mail, we know that's not outside cooking. We know he's on his screen porch, but he doesn't care.
No, hell no. If you venture south anytime, which you guys got flies and mosquitoes and all that kind of stuff too, but man, in the summertime here, you've got gnats, no-see-ums, mosquitoes, freaking pterodactyl mosquitoes.
You've got everything.
Yeah, so I've got screen under my porch and around my porch. And I can tell you, when I fire up that smoker and you're doing a long cook and you look on the outside of that screen, there's flies. I mean, they flock to it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I'm
not about that life.
No.
Yeah, Jesus.
The only time
Go ahead.
How did you get started doing what you're doing?
How did I get started?
Cooking wise.
So, probably in 2014 or so. I know you guys have talked about the drunk night where we fried some chicken. We're outside at the Double Tap, and Dad had his first smoker, which was that cabinet style, and we ate that chicken on there, and I was like, I got to get this shit. I was like, this is awesome. So, Dad had bought, I don't know what grill you got after that. It's hard to tell after 40 grills or whatever you've had.
I got no idea. I think it was.
Was it a Pit Boss or something? Anyway,
yeah, I think it was the char griller.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think it was one of the char grillers. I had two of them. I think it was the first one.
So Dad comes down one weekend, and he brought that cabinet down with him, and I cooked on it for I don't know about a year or so, and made some decent stuff for a propane grill with some chips in the bottom of it. And then when I started selling Traeger grills through Badcock, I bought one of those grills, and was it 2015? In fact, I got 2018. I've got I don't know if y'all can see all my little Traeger badges there, but in 2018, Traeger did a promotion to kind of get the brand started back up on their pellet line. And they did this competition called Meat Madness. And I've been cooking for a couple years. And Traeger was very, their social media presence wasn't huge back then. There was a few of us. If you're on Instagram, there's, I think his name's like Grilling with Dad or whatever. Anyway, we get into this competition. It was a 16-week, or Sweet 16 competition. I think it lasted whatever their season is, 4 weeks or whatever. And so I was posting pictures every day of stuff that I was cooking, whether it was, ribs, steak, chicken, pulled pork. And we got down there to the end. They said, hey, pick your best image, and we're going to go through this bracket system and kind of see who wins this thing. And their grand prize was a grill, pellets, the whole kit that they had. And so I ended up coming in second place in that competition, national competition. And the funny thing is, the picture of the steaks that I cooked, it was like, I don't know, 8 ribeyes stacked up. I cooked it on a gas grill.
I was going to see if you were going to disclose the truth or not.
Yeah, which was the funniest shit because it was a badass picture.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just the juiciest ribeyes, perfect grill marks. I mean, stacked up. stacked up, and it was like a family dinner. I just went outside, took a picture, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that shit was pretty. I mean, 2018 cell phone picture was pretty badass.
Yeah.
And it ran all the way. Grilling with Dad. If you look him up on Instagram, he's got like I don't know, 300, 400,000 followers now or whatever it is. And so anyway, when I came in second place, I won everything but a grill. Yeah. But they sent me like their stainless steel fire pit and like 400 pounds of pellets and their whole sauce ranges and seasoning.
All the seasonings.
When it showed up, a DHL truck pulled up out front with a pallet jack, like a mini forklift. And he said, "Where do you want me to put this pallet?" And I said, "You got a pallet?" And when he pulled it off the truck, I was like, "Holy shit!" And so yeah, that was 2018, and I had the Traeger, and then after that, I was cooking that on a Pro 34, and then I kind of after that, I just started buying grills, and I was like, well, I need a ceramic grill. My buddy who owns Heights Meat Market down in Tampa, I got to know them really good. I did some cooks with them, and I was making a lot of trips down that way for work and pleasure at the same time, and got to know those guys. And so he hooked me up with a Mini Max, and I got the Mini Max, and then I had a couple other Traegers between then, just stepping up into the Wi-Fi. And whenever a new one came out, I got the new one and sold off the other one, gave them away, whatever it was. And now I've got these three. Those are the three that I use the most, and truthfully, I use the Mini Max the most because it's a shallow base ceramic. It gets hot within about 15-20 minutes. I got a torch that you just heat it up, and I kind of know what the settings are on it, and we do a ton of grilling. So,
well, down there where you are, it makes sense, and you don't want to. The ultimate goal here is to have a similar setup on the deck out back. That way you're not abusing your kitchen, heating your house, making a mess everywhere, all that. It's easier to cook outside.
Much easier. Now, I will say on the pellet grill, if you've ever cooked on a pellet grill and you haven't set it on fire at least one time, you're not
Have you really cooked?
Yeah, that's cute. Nice try.
Yeah, if you're not blowing flames out of your drip vent, you're not cooking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seen that happen.
And shoot, this grill that I have now has got this LCD display on it, and it says, "Hey, clean your pellet box," or "It's time to clean your grill." And I thought that was a suggestion. I'm the first to tell you, I used to take really good care of my stuff because I was like, oh, I want it to last. But when you sell them all the time, you're like, well, if it fucks up, I'll just go get a new one. So I didn't. I didn't clean it for like 2 years, and when it caught on fire, I was like, okay, maybe I should clean this. And
it's getting clean.
that's right.
Maybe once a year I'll clean it.
That's right. So when I pulled the drip tray out of it, there was about 8 inches of ash. There was zero airflow around the firebox. So.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But when it's forced induction, you don't need air. So.
It happens. Shit happens every day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got into the. It really amplified through that meat madness, and then over the next couple of years, I did a lot with Traeger and promotions, and there was a couple other things that I've done over the years with them. I tried to get in with other brands, but honestly, by the time when Instagram was young, it was very easy to get on there and get the free stuff. I was getting stuff all the time, and but then when it gets saturated and it became more work and more work and more work, it took the fun out of it. Yeah. And I had the light kit, and I was setting up, I was staging everything, and it was a lot of fun for a while. But then every night when you're cooking something, you felt pressured to plate it up and put it on there. And
hey, honey, come here and run the camera for me real quick.
Oh yeah, there's many videos where I'm taking a video or doing the plating or slicing the meat, and Holly's like, would you hurry up? Oh, you're filming. Oh, you're doing. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you go for dinner at Josh's. Well, we can't eat yet. He's got to do his video presentation of what he did and the slicing of the steak, all that stuff.
yeah.
Which, like, it sounds fun. Like, you talk about like doing all that stuff, or like, oh, maybe we'll do it for the podcast. Maybe we'll do it for the Double Tap, the Wayward Souls, whatever. And you get into it and you're like, fuck this. Like, I'm hungry. I just want to eat. Like,
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't want to have to take a video of everything I do. Like, let's just cut to the chase. I'm hungry. Like, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Especially when you've been out there cooking on something, if you're doing, if it's a long cook, you're doing a brisket or a butt or something, you're 12, 14, 16 hours into this thing. You put it on at midnight, and now you got a bunch of hungry folks that are over here because, and you're out here dicking around on, getting the meat pool and all that kind of,
Getting your social media presence up. Got to build that clout.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Hey, so last show you mentioned you guys cook a lot of chicken wings. How do you guys do your wings? I'm an absolute slut for some wings.
Dude, when my wife and I got together, all I thought she ate was chicken wings and French fries. And
what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I was like, shit, easy date. I mean,
winner. Yeah.
So I got really good at cooking chicken wings, and what I do is I buy those 18 packs, cut them into 36, and I'll set them up in the fridge usually for 6 to 8 hours to kind of dry them out a little bit, and then I don't do any rub, any binder, anything on them. I just put the seasoning on them, let them sit there for about another 30 minutes, let that little bit of moisture draw out with that salt content, and I will smoke them at least for an hour at 225 at a minimum. If you're in a rush, 250. We'll push them in about an hour. You can get them up to about 165. And then I'll turn the grill up to about 350, 400, and let that last bit of fat render out of them. Where I think people mess up on their chicken wings a lot is that the fat content in them is so high they don't give it enough time for that rendering process. Same thing with like brisket and pulled pork. If you don't get those wings to about 198 to 202 degrees, the cartilage in it doesn't break down, that collagen doesn't break down, so then you get that stringy bite when you go into it. If you get them to that 202 to 205 range without burning them, just for drying them out for being on there too long, I mean, you get a bone pull off. I mean, you can eat the whole entire thing but the bone. And so that generally, 2 hours is kind of the cook time. 3 hours like I said, if I do it smoking at least for an hour, if I've got time, I'll smoke them for 2 hours at 225, and then just for the last little bit, kind of crisp them up. And then the key is with wings too, don't serve them right off the grill because they're going to be hot as hell. But if you let them sit there for a minute, you let that skin tighten back up, let some of that residual moisture steam off of them, that crispiness comes through. If you serve them right off the grill, they're still a little bit tacky. You still got a little bit of that moisture content on them. And, but if you let them sit there for about 10 minutes, kind of come down to, 100 degrees, 110 degrees. I mean, that's a perfect bite.
Gotcha. Are you doing them on your pellet smoker?
So most of the time I do them on the pellet smoker. Every once in a while on the big Primo. On the Mini Max it's tough because you can't get it done on there. And
right.
But if I do it on the Primo, I'll do an offset cook on it where I'll cook on the one side, let the other side be the charcoal, and then I'll smoke them on there for an hour, and then I'll toss them over on the hot side. I've got a plate setter in there, and you can adjust the height. And but kind of the same thing. You just toss them on there. If you're on the charcoal, it only takes a couple minutes, and then set them off to the side and let them chill.
Yeah, that was always the thing on the pellet smoker. When you were done smoking them, so at that 2 hour mark, you go to kick the temperature up. It just takes forever to get that temperature up in the grill. Right. So now you're even like that last, like to finish them off is just, for me, it seemed like this is ridiculous. And that by the end, like I had these crispy little nuggets, and like I
Well,
was like, these
the
are some
trick
shit wings.
is if you're doing it on a charcoal, cook them almost up to temp. If you get them to 190, 195 degrees, go ahead and pull them off because they're pretty much done. And then as your temp rises on your charcoal, then stick them back on there just to crisp up those skins. Because
Yeah,
if you go straight from the smoker over to the hot side, like you said, by the time it gets warmed up, those wings are way over temp. They're already done.
yeah. I started. So I'll smoke them for probably 2 hours, but then I'll bring them in. I'll throw them in the air fryer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and once they come out of there, I got that temperature now to make them crispy and get that taken care of. So that's been my thing. But I need to try it with the keg now. Get that thing running up to temperature, and then go from the smoker onto the keg and see how that does with it.
Sorry, I had to bounce over at work was calling.
That's all good.
That's something too. I hadn't thought about running my wings that hot to that high of a temperature. Normally I try to get them off in the 170, 180 range because I know that technically they're done at 165, but I like the way you think because it's the same process with beef, running it up, and even pork, running up that high to get the collagen to break down to give you that pull apart bite, which now explains why these women you see taking the wings and jamming them down, the flat, jamming them down and then popping it off. That explains why they're able to do that.
Yeah. Now you're going to lose a little bit of that moisture in them, but these wings nowadays are so dang big. Half the time they look like a chicken thigh, so there's a lot of moisture in those. And when you cook it up with that temp, all that collagen, all the connective tissue, you're not worried about any of that. So when you bite it off, it's just, it still stays juicy because that collagen breaks down.
Yeah. And it just has broken down. So that moisture's still there.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've done a lot of those. I mean, I've cooked thousands of wings, and everyone that I've ever cooked for, whether it be an event or just neighbors or something like that, they're like, these are the best wings I've ever had, better than fried wings. Even afterwards, I was very against an air fryer. I was like, we don't need one more appliance in this house. And we got an air fryer, and if you smoke those wings the next day, toss them in the air fryer.
Oh yeah.
Killer.
Yeah.
Then you see who won that. We don't need another appliance. So we got an air fryer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. No, I'll take my leftover chicken wings if there's any left. I mean, that's the other thing. Like you have to if you're making chicken wings, like you have to make a bunch to have some left over because once you smoke them and you get your process dialed in, like they're phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And typically there's none left. So if you have some left, like I'll take them the next day and I'll heat them back up, strip the meat off, and then put them in my mac and cheese and do like a little buffalo mac and cheese with the chicken wings.
Well, the good thing about chicken wings is once you cook a lot of that moisture and stuff out of them, they stay fresh. They don't ever get soggy or anything. You can pop them right out of the refrigerator and they're, just as good as when you pulled them off. You ain't got to heat them up.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I love some chicken wings.
The chicken is probably the most stuff that I cook, but I do there towards the end of my my cooking career on social media, I was doing a ton of steaks. I mean, we eat a lot of steaks, and my buddy that owns the meat market, I'd go down there and spend $300-400, stack a whole cooler up full of either dry aged ribeyes or Angus or heck, he even had kangaroo, which I cooked for Dad at my buddy's farm. And when you get used to cooking steaks and all that kind of stuff, I got away from the pulled pork and stuff just because I was like, man, this is so much easier. It's you throw it on there, you cook it, and you're done. And so I haven't done much, long cooks like I used to, but it's still a nice treat to throw a brisket on or although the last brisket I cooked, I'll be the first one to tell you, it was like the first brisket I ever cooked. When I pulled it out, I was like, what did I do wrong to this thing?
What did I do to treat you so poorly?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, no one complained about it, but me, I know what I can do. And the product that came out was like,
Yeah,
what
we discussed that not long ago with something Ben had done. Oh,
Yeah.
this is good. This is good. Ben's going, yeah, no, this is not
No, this is not.
Yeah.
I'm better than this.
Yeah.
So it happens to all of us.
Yeah. But probably gonna catch a little hell from Frampton if he listens to this one. You're still going on about that pork shoulder? It was that half a pork shoulder, and that was a while ago. That fucking thing.
Well, you just know when you cook enough and you know the quality of product that you can put out, and one little variable throws it off, or you miss a mark, or people don't realize that there is a science into how you cook and prep your food, and ultimately we eat with our eyes first, so you want that presentation to look right, and then when their flavor profiles don't hit quite where you want or the texture isn't quite what you want, you're like,
damn it.
Yeah.
But
we've talked.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say the thing that we've talked a lot about through all of this is, and like Josh, like you mentioned, like we know it's off, but how many times have you heard somebody say, unless they know, like, oh man, that brisket was terrible, or that brisket was not good, like even though you know it's off, everybody else is like, oh, this is fantastic, this is great, like rock on, enjoy it, like it sucks.
Well, when you're
there's
cooking
a reason
for
I'm
somebody
having
else,
chips and dip.
Yeah, when you're cooking for somebody else, they're just like, "Oh my god, this is," because they don't have it all the time.
Yeah,
but
they don't know exactly what
that's right.
What it's capable of being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this: I used to do competitions with the GBA, the Georgia Barbecue Association. One of my neighbors got involved in it. He said, "Hey, I need someone to come cook with me," and so competition style. When you're doing, one of the cooks that we went to was one that you see on Pitmasters, and that style of cooking is terrible. It really threw me off, and I realized that what they are looking for in a style like that is different than we cook also. So that was an eye-opening experience, and I've done 2 of them, and I won't go back and do it again.
What's the difference?
So they want a really sauce heavy barbecue. They want a variety of pulled pork. So you'll get your pulled, you'll get your chopped, and then you get your money muscle, which a lot of people slice and glaze. And for us, when we cook, we want a pull apart barbecue. With them, they want some bite to it. They want a little bit more texture to it, which isn't what the normal person generally wants. So what we did was, when we did our pulled pork, you cut the money muscle out of it, which is kind of, it almost looks like the eye of round in it. It's generally along the edge of the blade. And so you cut that out and expose it. You still leave it attached, but it's not, you want to get that smoke penetration in it, because they want to see a smoke ring around the money muscle, and then the rest of it either pulled or chopped or whatever. And so we learned really quick that the way that we cook, the way that we like to cook, the spice profile, the sweetness, and all those flavors that go into it aren't necessarily what judges are looking for in that style competition.
So, and just the ribs. I mean, just look at the rib texture.
Oh yeah.
They want and I'm going to call it, they want a tough rib. If you take they want to pull, they want to be able to see the teeth marks, do all that stuff, and that's not how I like a rib. No. I mean, we've discussed that before.
Yeah,
it's
we did.
I don't like it.
We did pulled pork, we did pork loin, and we did ribs. And what they do is they come around with a cooler, and based off of your rankings, you go up there and you get to select which product you want and all that. It's kind of odd. You don't bring your own product, so when you go up there and you're looking at these pork loins, and I mean they're all factory wrap, Costco or whatever they get them from, and so you're looking at them, and so when you get down there to the kind of towards the end or wherever you're at, and you're like, all right, well, now I got this mediocre piece of meat. What am I going to do with it? And so it was eye opening. It was something that I thought I wanted to get into, but realized it is, for one, it's expensive. You're traveling and doing all that kind of stuff, and you're out of your element, for sure. So I give respect to the guys that do it professionally. I know why they've got these big trailers now and all that kind of stuff, but it was different.
Yeah, you were cooking on a Lang also, right?
Yep. It was a 48 Deluxe dual rack, or was it a 60? It was a 60.
Yeah, I think it was a 60.
Yeah,
because he sold it, and
he's got an 84 now.
oh no shit, good
Yep.
for him.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when he was selling it. I gave thought to buying it.
Yeah, he stepped it up to the 84, which the funny thing was, we're out there. There was a bunch of reverse flow and offsets out there. And then like Green Mountain Grills was out there. They had, 2 of their smokers going, and they got like second place. So, I mean,
Yep.
they went to bed in their trailer, set up a cot, went to sleep. And, we're all up there at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We're still stoking a fire, and it's freaking cold.
Yep.
And those bastards are sleeping. I was like, I want to throw my Traeger in the back of my truck and drink beer,
Been perfect.
Hell yeah. That's what I like to do anyway. That's how I cook at home.
Yeah.
When you talking about the pork loin, you have one of the best pork loins I've ever had.
It's pretty jam up. It's one of my favorite things to cook.
So let's get into how you do your pork loin, because that's something we've not discussed that I can recall on any previous episodes. So how do you do your pork loin?
Pork loin is one of the most underrated cuts out there, I think. And pork loin, it's just your pork chop, right? But it's just the whole entire loin. And I'll buy I can't even think what the sizes are now, 16-pound loin or 8-pound loin, whatever it is. And I cut it in half. And what I like to do is take it out of the pack. Most people cut all that fat off and go down almost to the bare meat, because when they look at it, they're like, well, it's just like a pork chop, right? They don't want that gristle on the edge and all that kind of stuff. So I'll trim it down just a little bit, get a little bit of that tougher silver skin off. Make sure to trim the inside. I'll cut the tail off, which is where those two pieces kind of on the end of a loin, it kind of splits off in the end. You get a little bit of tail meat. I'll cut that off. And then what I'll do is I'll either use Dad's banging board dust on it, or some of my friends in Tennessee, they make another spice that I really like. And so I'll put that on there, and I'll let it sit for at least 30 minutes, an hour, because every meat that you cook, you want to let that marinade kind of sit in there a little bit, especially if it's got a heavier or a little bit of salt content to it. It'll draw that moisture out. Then I'll throw it generally on the Traeger, and 225, 250, whatever your grill likes to run out to get that smoke. And I'll do it for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Pork loin, people always are like, oh, you got to cook pork hard. Well, I'll cook mine to about 135, and most of the time that's a medium, edging up into the medium well side. And then what I'll do is I'll fire up the Mini Max, and I'll toss it over on the Mini Max. Oh, forgot a key point. I cook mine fat side down. I do not do fat side up. The reason why I do fat side down is because I want that buffer from the heat to the meat. I want that fat to render down. And then when I put it on the Mini Max, I'll do it fat side up. And then I'll get the grill marks on the bottom, get that nice mahogany looking color on it. You get a little bit of char marks, and then I'll flip it over on the fat side, get it crisped up. And then, on any big cut of meat, you want to let it rest. So I let it rest for, 15 minutes or so. And when you cut into it, you got a perfect kind of medium well. There's no more pink in it, but it's still very, very juicy.
It's moist.
Very moist.
There's that word. It is moist.
Yep.
And flavorful. It's one of the best pork products that I've had, without a doubt.
You can glaze it. The reason there at the end, if I'll cook it fat side down on the Traeger and then flip it over, do it meat side down on the grill, and you can always glaze it too. If you glaze it on there, you don't even have to flip it. You just let it glaze over, let it get nice and tacky, char it one time, and it's good. And you can slice that pork loin if you let it cool down enough. I mean, you can get paper thin on it. You can cut it into, your pork chop steaks. You can, do it however you want. But, to me, pork loin is one of my favorite, and pork chops too, bone-in pork chops. Love them.
Well, to tell you how underrated it is, we've not really discussed them on the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, it is very underrated, and it's something that we did discuss, me going out and getting a big pork loin and cutting it into chops, boneless chops. I did that, but we haven't discussed doing a whole loin. So yeah, it is underrated.
And
Damn it, I've been sleeping on pork loin.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of times what I'll do is too, I'll buy those big ones from Sam's or whatever. And I'll do the same thing. I'll take half of it. I'll smoke a pork loin. Cause I mean, you get a huge amount of meat off of it, and then I'll cut the rest into pork chops, vacuum seal them, and 2 or 4 in a pack. And, they're ready to rock and roll whenever you want to pull them out, and you save a ton of money.
The last loin I bought, which has been 3 months ago, something like that, I got 20 packages, I want to say, and 2 chops in each one. I want to say it was 20 packages.
Well, what's wild is you go to, Winn-Dixie or Food Line for y'all and go up there and, you buy pork chops, it's $12, right? Or $14.
Yep.
Well, you can go buy a whole pork loin, it's $22.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right.
And you're getting, 4 or 5 times the weight out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or if not more than that, really.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Yeah. we were at my in-laws, and I was making stuffed pork chops. So I had these real nice, beautiful, thick pork chops, and it was apple and some kind of, I think like a stuffing that I was going to put into there. While I'm dicing up the apple, and I cut the tip of my finger off. I had just sharpened the knives the day before. And I'm thinking like, oh, I need to move my finger. Chop. Like, oh, fuck.
You're like,
Go over to the sink. Luckily, there's no blood on the it was all fast enough that I didn't bleed like where the food was. So I'm over in the sink, and I turn around, and my sister-in-law, who at the time she was a University of Maryland student, I was like, hey, I need you to go get some paper towels, some gauze. And she's like, huh? We do that like 3 times. I was like, I need you. Yeah. I was like,
see this? Do you see this? I need something to stop the hemorrhaging.
So I eventually get it. And I'm like, she's like, well, what? And then I'm trying to explain like what else she needs to do to finish dinner so we can get that in the oven. And I was like, I need to go lay down. I end up laying down on the couch, and Rachel's out. I can't remember if we had Harper yet or not. I don't think we did, but she's out on a walk with her friend. And like, it's literally just me and my sister-in-law. And she's like, I'm not dealing with that. I was like, well, I need somebody to help me.
Say, look, what the first thing you need to do is get just the tip out of the shit I was cutting up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rachel comes back and sees me laying on the couch with my feet up on the back of it, and like, it's like, are you okay? I was like, I don't think so. The next day,
in that field of seeing people bleeding and all that kind of stuff, when it's you, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, which usually isn't a problem.
Right.
But I don't know, like, I don't know what it was. The next day I wake up, so I wrap it up, get it all taken care of. That night, the next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is still not good. I'm like, I'm going to go in the shower, like get it wet, take it off and look at it and see where we are. I end up laying on the floor in the bathroom, butt ass naked, because taking it off hurt so bad. I ended up going to the ER, and this was the height of COVID. Like, I'm walking in, like holding my hand. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I don't want to be here. I know you don't want me here. the ER doc comes in. He's like, "Oh no, you need to be here. Like this is legit." I was like, "All right, cool." He puts this little thing around the bottom of my finger, that the little tourniquet for the finger, and dips it in the lidocaine to numb it. And it was like this weight had just been lifted. I was like, we're good now. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'm good. But holy cow. Twice. I almost passed out twice because of the tip of my finger. And it's still like right there. I still really can't feel anything. And it's still a little misshapen.
I love good drugs.
Yeah. And it wasn't even anything fantastic. It was just like a little lidocaine to numb it up.
It took care of the pain.
Oh my
what
God.
You needed.
Yeah, holy cow. Whew. So but hey, let's wrap up our cooking. Because that was everything leading up to me cutting off the tip of my finger was fantastic. That part sucked. But so thanks for watching. We're gonna put again some more content and some more links in the show notes, so that way you can go follow Josh and see what he's cooking again, so you can see the great stuff he's doing with the furniture stores, and give him a little love. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us.